It's been a very slow week as we wait patiently for our god of gaming, Phil Spencer, to announce what is going on with Xbox. Are they going full third party, or is all of this overblown? Is there just a game or two moving across to the Switch, PS5, and maybe it's not as bad as Xbox fanboys fear? Well, my take on it is that it absolutely is that bad if you're a fanboy. Xbox are absolutely going third party. And I want to reinforce that because over the last couple of days, it's interesting. I've noticed a bit of walking back from some of the prominent leakers, I guess, or you could call them Xbox insiders. They're not really insiders, but sometimes they claim to be. And they're suggesting, for instance, Starfield isn't, in fact, coming to the PS5, and maybe things aren't that bad. Well, the way I see it is most of the people walking things back, I feel they're just afraid of Microsoft. They maybe think they're going too far, and maybe in the future they won't get special perks from Microsoft, from Xbox. And the other side of it is, it seems like the Xbox fans have sort of moved backwards when it comes to the different stages of grief. When it first came out that this was happening, all the Xbox games, whether it's Halo, Gears, whatever it might be, these were absolutely going multi-platform. They were in the anger stage. They could believe this was happening, and they were pissed off. But they've regressed. They've moved back to denial. They think this isn't happening, and let's be real, it absolutely is. And to give you an example, this post on an Xbox subreddit. I'm going to go through this and then I'm going to show you why the multi-platform stuff is definitely happening, that this is total cope. But this post, it mentions, seems like the rumors surrounding these games coming to other platforms is pure engagement nonsense. Now, this is very common. I see it in gaming circles all the time, where if some sort of influencer says something they don't like, then it's grifting. It's absolutely just pushing engagement. That's all they care about, clicks and views. However, if they're saying something they do like, if they're claiming, I'm hearing reports inside Xbox that the next Halo is going to be the greatest thing of all time, then they'll be lapping that up. They'll be going, yes, I knew it. These fans simply react on emotion and absolutely nothing else. And it continues, the original leaker about Starfield coming to PS5 is walking back their claims. Now, this is totally false. The person who is saying this is walking back their claim. They are not the original leaker. It was actually someone else who originally reported that Starfield was coming to PS5, and then this person, Nate the Hate, kind of jumped on the bandwagon, as a lot of people did. So it's kind of a secondary source at best, a follow-up source, and these Xbox fans are trying to imply because one person walked it back, it means all of it's fake, none of it's happening. Even though Phil Spencer himself kind of implied the rumors are true by not denying them and instead saying, we're listening, we're going to do a business update and take you through the future of Xbox. That is why these fans are upset in the first place. They knew deep down it's all true, and now they're sort of digging through the rubble, just trying to find any scrap that suggests it's all fake. And this post, this Twitter post that they've linked, this isn't accurate either. It mentions, according to Nate the Hate, source behind Hi-Fi Rush coming to other platforms. Again, not really the source. Many people have been saying it. They're trying to act like he is the only person who came out with this news and now he's walking it back. That is bullshit. Heaps of people have talked about it. They all have their own sources. And he says that Starfield coming to other platforms is pure fiction. I'm now of the belief that Starfield is not happening and the info spread around was pure fiction. I'll own this miss. Now, this is why I think these different Xbox influencers, they're afraid of Xbox and Microsoft, because maybe they thought after Phil announced whatever it is, the press conference, the announcement coming up in the next couple of days, they might have thought, well, it's obviously happening, I'll just come out and repeat the same stuff, even though I don't really have a source. But then maybe Microsoft got in their ear and said, no, you don't know this is happening. Shut up. If you want to be getting your perks that you get, if you want to be on that big stage, then you better keep quiet because you don't know what is going on. And that might have scared them, and now they're sort of sitting back down. They're putting out a post or two to keep the fanboys at bay, but they probably know deep down that this is still happening. They're just trying to cover their ass, basically. Now, in a second, I'm going to show you why I don't think this is actually true. There is somewhat evidence that refutes this, but before I show you that, there is, for instance, these Xbox people as well, saying a lot of the same things. So this Twitter exchange where Tom Warren, he was someone else who put out articles about how Xbox is definitely going third party. Then he somewhat walked a little bit of a back, and he mentions here, if Microsoft hasn't been considering Indiana Jones for PS5, they could come out and say that. But they have, so they can't say that. So he's sort of confirming that discussions have been had. The key is whether it actually happens, which I made super clear wasn't set in stone. This sounds like another Cope post. I mean, if there was news actually getting out of Xbox that they've been discussing it, they've got to be pretty formal discussions. It's not like Phil Spencer and the CEO, they had a chat over coffee and this came up as maybe we could do this, maybe we won't. How else did it get out? They were obviously pretty serious discussions, and that info could be old. Maybe they've moved forward with this and Indiana Jones is happening, as some of the leaks suggested, that Indiana Jones for PS5 would come maybe 3 or 4 months after the Xbox release. We're not talking about a year, 18 months later like the Sony PC releases. It could be a pretty quick turnaround. And then this other Xbox person, Tom Henderson, says something similar. So there's a lot of these Xbox guys sort of walking back those claims. However, Xbox Era, which is, if you couldn't have guessed, it's an Xbox fan site, they were actually the ones who said first that Starfield was coming to PS5. So again, that earlier coping post where they tried to say the original leaker about Starfield is walking back their claims, totally false. It was from Xbox Era, so an Xbox fan site who would usually be sucking up to them. I believe that was the site that gave Starfield Game of the Year. They weren't coping in this instance. They came out and said, this is happening and we've got the sources. And then the guy from Xbox Era here, someone asked him, so is Xbox Era backing off on the rumor about Starfield coming to PS5? Or do they still stand by that? And the person from Xbox Era says, no, not even a little. We stand by our report, and you can see that Nate has completely backed down and made clear that he was only talking about himself. So the person who walked back the Starfield coming to PS5 rumors, he said that this is just me saying that. My sources who I thought were confirming it, I don't have confidence in that now. And then this Xbox Era guy said, no, not even a little. We stand by our report, and you can see that Nate has completely backed down and made clear that he was only talking about himself. So one person out of many who said Starfield was coming to PS5, they got a bit frightened and said, no, I'm not sure now. But that's literally it. Everyone else who was claiming Starfield was happening, they're still standing by it. They're saying it's happening. Planning is a part of considering. How do you truly consider something like this without planning how you would do it? Still, I have no clue, as I'm no insider. I trust John. I assume that's his source or something. He worked on this for a while and got backed up by multiple other people with similar info. So yeah, he probably reported on it first, this John person, and he had multiple other people backing it up, it sounds like. So many are saying it's happening. And I will say this, because there's been talk that maybe with Xbox, maybe older games like, say, Redfall, all the rubbish ones, maybe they won't come to PS5. And Phil Spencer might frame it that old releases, games that we said were exclusive, they won't come to PS5. But it's going to be all the new releases, they definitely will. Because they might be able to say, well, we're fulfilling our promise because games that we said are exclusive absolutely will stay that way, but newer games, probably better games, I mean, I was referring to Redfall a second ago, they are going to the new console, and that's where they're going to make their money. However, I think they're going to do that in a sneaky way, because it'll sound good maybe next week when Phil announces it, but what do they mean by new releases? They could be a bit cheeky with that, because what I think will happen with Starfield, and this is backed up by some of the rumors as well, because no one ever said Starfield is getting ported tomorrow, it's just going to get released immediately. Most were saying it was going to happen after the DLC. So what if Phil does this? What if he announces, nope, it's only going to be new games to PS5, but in maybe 9 months, 12 months' time, a new Starfield release comes out, which is the Consolation Edition, or maybe they try and get away with Game of the Year Edition, who knows. They come out with it, and it's just the base game with the Shattered Space expansion or whatever it is, and they package it together, which is very common. And then they treat that like a brand new release and put it on PS5. And if they get challenged, they say, well, no, it's a new release. We didn't put the original Starfield on, but this is a brand new physical copy that Xbox is getting as well. I think they could easily do something like that, and in a year's time, people are going to be used to the fact that Xbox is going third party, and most of this will be kind of older news. Most of the backlash will have died down, probably because by then Xbox fans with sanity will have bought a PS5 or a PC. They'll realise Xbox is basically dead. But refuting these rumours, this guy, Sneakers SO, he's posted a lot on NeoGAF, which is a gaming forum, and he's been quite reliable in the past with leaks. He's talked about this a lot. Most of what he said in the past seems to have come true. He seems to be in the know, certainly more so than a lot of the people from Twitter and all of that crap. So someone asked him, how confident are you on your info? I'm just confused by all this now. So all games are getting a multi-platform port at some point. Is that happening? And this is because of all this mixed communication. People are walking back some of their claims. Starfield isn't happening. What is going to PS5? What's going on? And this guy says, my colleagues are literally working on these games, working on these ports that are coming to other platforms. I don't know why anyone is confused at this point. I'm not going to say that every single game Xbox has released in the last 20 years is being ported to other platforms. Maybe that does happen, but I have never heard anything approximating that. And that makes sense, because Xbox motivation here is to make money. It's not, we need to put every single game we've ever released onto the PS5. That's not the aim. They just want to be bringing in the coin. So it doesn't mean like Gears 5 or Gears 4 is going to be ported to the PS5 necessarily, because is that really going to be a big seller? Who really cares about a Gears 5 or even the Halo Infinite campaign? Maybe it sells okay, but it's never going to be a juggernaut. It's really the new releases they're focused on, because that's where the hype is going to be. If you look at Sony releases for the PC, some of them have been alright, but some of them have been underwhelming, and I believe it's because by the time it comes out, it's kind of an old game and people are in no rush to buy it. Something like Horizon Forbidden West, I doubt that's going to be a huge seller. It's known as being just more of the same, and it's probably discounted now on the PS5, yet they're trying to sell it for full price on PC. Most people are going to just wait for a sale. There's no rush. There's no real hype there to not miss out, to get it on release day before you get spoiled or something. I think people will hold out, and it will be the same for any Xbox games that are ported. If they just put Gears 5 or something on the PS5, I don't think it's going to sell that much. It's about Indiana Jones. It's about, maybe Avowed. I really don't think there'll be that much hype for that game, but it's those sorts of titles that they want to get on PS5, so that they sell on release day for $70 for full price. Now, this guy goes on and says, there are a number of titles which have been publicly discussed at this point that I know are coming. I have heard are coming or are being planned to be ported in the future. There are also a number of titles that I know are coming that aren't even publicly known yet, and that's probably mostly games for the future. I know I touched on Gears of War, but there might even be a Master Chief Collection style of release for Gears that maybe packages all the older ones together. I could see that coming to PS5. That could be fairly big for them, given none of those titles have released on that console before. So that's the sort of stuff he's probably talking about. Unannounced games that not even Xbox fans are aware of at this point. Based on the change of business logic that led to them approving of these initiatives, I imagine they are going to go for the boiled frog approach for this publishing shift rollout. Much how day one publishing on Steam has rolled out. Start with a few, increase the scope for some ports and new releases over time, then make all of them day one releases. And that sort of lines up with how they're trying to be careful with their current Xbox fanboys, because they can't just allow Xbox to die overnight. I've said it before, they can't come out and say, don't buy an Xbox, that would be the dumbest thing in the world, because they're still making 30% every single time someone buys any Xbox game, even if it's a Ubisoft, an EA title, all of that. They get 30%. Same probably with microtransactions and all of that. So they don't want that to die right now, but they want their cake and to eat it too. They still want to get these games out to PS5. So they're probably just going to lie to their fans, basically. They're going to pretend it's a strategic thing, only some releases will be coming to other platforms, but then once it's normalized, it will be absolutely everything. And they won't have to change much to achieve that. Because most of the games they have that are going to sell, it's going to be the Activision ones, the CODs, the Diablos, the Warcraft products. On the Bethesda side, the Elder Scrolls 6. Most of what they've already released, it's basically been the duds. Starfield underperformed. Even if it comes to PS5, no one's going to be fooled. There's not going to be any of that release day excitement. People buy it, then realize it's crap. No, most people are aware. Would Starfield sell a few copies? I'm sure it would, but that's why I think it'll be a Game of the Year release, and PlayStation will get the version that is more finished. Xbox fans will basically be the beta testers. What it really seems like is all the leakers who said it was definitely happening and then walked that back, now they're saying, oh, they were talking about planning, they were considering, but we don't know if it's definitely happening. It seems like they're saying it because they think they win either way. Even if Phil comes out and ruins everyone's dreams, all the games are coming to PS5, the Switch, and so on. If he says that, the leakers can just say, well, we never said it wasn't happening, we just said they were in the planning stages, they were talking about it, but it wasn't definite. And if Phil says, no, it's not happening like you think, you've overreacted, it's only going to be Sea of Thieves, a couple of select titles, then they'll be thinking, phew, our fans still like us, we haven't lost everything. Because most of these influencers, their fans are Xbox people, they're obsessed with Xbox. And they're the ones who give these insiders all the attention they crave. This is absolutely happening, no matter how Phil Spencer frames it in the coming days. Absolutely, within a year or so, all of Microsoft's games, they're going to come to PS5, the Switch, wherever they can put them. It's just going to be about the messaging. They may imply it's going to be different when they speak about it, but the motivation is going to be to pretty much make sure people don't sell their Xboxes and they keep buying games, buying battle passes, microtransactions there. Otherwise, they're stuffed, because it's going to take Xbox a while to release the Call of Duties, everything else they've got coming, and they need all of that stuff on the conveyor belt coming out to people so they can start generating that third-party money. That's not going to happen immediately. It's going to happen over the next year or two. So in the meantime, they want Xbox to remain a thing at the very least. In 5-10 years, who knows what's going to happen with the Xbox consoles, but in the meantime, there's absolutely going to be this huge shift in direction. Anyone saying otherwise is basically coping at this point. But we'll see. We're a day or two away from getting the official news. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.